Entrepreneurially Thinking is a presentation of BioSTL and CET, Center for Emerging Technologies, with Rare Gem Productions, changing the way you view new ventures, including you on the pathway to success with your business in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. Here's your hosts, Cheryl and Christy. Now let's get thinking entrepreneurially.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. Our goal is to energize your entrepreneurial mindset and create pathways for business success in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. I'm Christy Maxfield, Director of Entrepreneur Development Services at the Center for Emerging Technologies.
And I'm Cheryl Watkins-Moore, Director of Bioscience and Entrepreneurial Inclusion with BioSTL. Hey, Christy.
Good morning.
We are back together again.
Yes. And every time we come together in the studio, we want to help you step outside your comfort zone with us. We want you to look at your career and business in new ways, and together we can take the constraints off of how you view your current and future endeavors.
Because we are always stepping outside of our comfort zone every week.
Pretty much,
yes.
Yeah. And if not, then we find something new to do.
There you go.
You can join and stay in touch with the Entrepreneurially Thinking community on all of your favorite online streaming platforms, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or by visiting our website at entrepreneuriallythinking.com, hashtag ETHINKSTL.
Christy, we've got, I think, a great lineup today. We've got two individuals that are here today we want to introduce to our listeners. Today we're speaking with Lynette Watson from our local Small Business and Technology Development Center. Here we go with the acronyms. Also known as SBDC or SBTDC. And Michael O'Brien also is joining us from the Prosperity Connection. Like many organizations here in St. Louis and our St. Louis entrepreneurship ecosystem, these two work very closely together to help promote financial empowerment and entrepreneurship in the community. I think this is really a great conversation. We're going to spend some time during this episode getting to know more about the SBDC network and the New Business Center in Old North, which is across the street from Prosperity Connection's Excel Center. We'll get that conversation started right after this quick break.
Now here's Make It Happen with Keith Sales Pro.
According to leadership advisor Lee Colin, here's 4 things every leader should know. Number 1, the entrepreneur says the next deal is king, while the leader says the customer is king. 2, saying yes to one thing may mean saying no to something else. Measure what matters, then manage what you measure. 3, a blurred vision yields diffused efforts. And finally, 4, growth comes when you get off the treadmill of working in the business and step into the eagle's nest to work on the business. Today, remember, it can happen. It will happen. And together, we will make it happen.
Follow Keith Sales Pro on Facebook or Twitter at Keith Sales Pro, or visit his website at keithsalespro.com.
It can happen. It will happen. And together, we will make it happen.
My name is Lynette Watson. I am a business development specialist for the University of Missouri Small Business and Technology Development Centers. Entrepreneurially thinking means to me thinking outside of the box, doing things your way, and creating solutions to problems.
Lynette and Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
We're excited that you're able to join us. As Cheryl said, we love collaborations, and we certainly love making sure that our community knows what's going on, where to find good people and good support, and we want to make sure that we explore that in depth today. I do want to set the scene for our listeners. As Cheryl also mentioned, we have a lot of acronyms going on. So if you're hearing SBDC or SBTDC, we're really talking about Lynette's organization. It is. It's got a groove to it. We're really talking about Lynette's organization, which is a statewide network of centers that help businesses succeed in every stage from idea to exit.
That's a wide range of companies I'm sure that you're working with.
We service everybody from scoop to nuts. We also cover 7 counties, which includes Jefferson County, Franklin County, St. Charles County, Warren County, and, of course, St. Louis City.
Wow.
So don't worry about which one of those locations we're talking about. Each does a little bit something different.
Exactly.
But Lynette will make sure that we understand sort of what's going on. And we are going to stay pretty focused on the North St. Louis, Old North location.
Great.
But they have a fabulous website. We'll give you that to you later so you can find those resources. I also want to just frame for our listeners, Prosperity Connection is an organization that evolved out of the St. Louis Community Credit Union's Foundation. It was formed in 2010, and they have 3 Excel centers in our community, including the one in Old North. And they also own and operate a Red Doe Money Center. So Michael's going to tell us all about that, but we've got a lot of different organizations and acronyms coming together. So be sure to also visit our website. If you have any confusion, you'll be able to find a link. That link will tell you everything you need to know, and that way you don't have to worry about following the bouncing ball here. So with all of that said, we want to get started. And Lynette, you've been with the Small Business and Technology Development Centers for more than 10 years.
Exactly.
You're a business development specialist. And I did not know this, but last week when we were at an event together, you mentioned that the specialists have to actually be experienced as entrepreneurs. And
That's
I was
correct.
like, that is so cool.
It is. You have to walk the walk, right?
You have to walk the walk. You know, I tell people I understand what it's like not to know how to make payroll.
Oh, we've talked about that.
That's one that's important because we've all, those of us who have done it know what that feels like.
Yes.
It does not feel good. You know, you're calling at the last minute, Mom, could you drop $5,000 in my account? You know, I've lived that. So, you know, I often tell my small businesses, our goal is to help you not pay the dumb tax that everybody has paid before you. You know, just not doing those little things right that actually end up costing you a lot of money, a lot of time, and sometimes your self-esteem when the business doesn't work. So that's kind of what we try to do, is utilize our experience, our knowledge, and then bring all the resources together.
That's amazing. What type of business were you in before?
I actually own a strategic management and consulting business now, work with nonprofit organizations, helping them grow to the next level. Before that, I still co-own an event planning business. However, my board of directors decided that I was better not being in the day-to-day operations.
So you mean the division between church and state?
Yes. They felt like I was stunting the growth. So.
Oh, well, you know, we always talk to you about the fact that organizations go through life cycle, and the right team at the beginning isn't always the right team to scale, isn't always the right team to go through exit, right? So we have to practice what we preach.
And that's exactly it. I got to practice what I preached, which is why I was able to step back and let them do what they do. That's
great. That's great. So can you tell us a little bit about the acronymic organization that you represent?
It's actually,
word, I think. I like it. Acronymic.
And that's just one of the many. But anyway, it's an amazing organization. They really allow us to operate entrepreneurially. As Christy said, we are statewide. We're actually nationwide. However, each region is able to tailor their programming and their outreach and their counselors to the community. So as a result of that, in what we call our St. Louis region, we really focus on women. We focus on minorities. We focus on international trade. So we're very, very focused according to the community that we serve.
And you're uniquely situated up in the Old North area of St. Louis. So tell us about that. How long have you been in that location? And
we had our grand opening 2 months ago. It was amazing.
Fabulous. It was amazing. I had the pleasure of being there.
It was an amazing grand opening. We have actually been operational about a month, and we have so much going on right now. We're just, we landed there and we just started running. We are having a fantasy food competition for the community.
Ooh.
And this competition is, it's a restaurant spot that's across from Crown Candy. It's already fully built out. The kitchen is ready to go. It's commercial, has a hood, has everything but the stove. And we are actually going to have a competition. So if the person that wins the competition, it'll be a regular business plan restaurant kind of competition, will actually get 2 years free rent at the restaurant. They will
Makes me want to be a chef.
Makes me want to go. Christy and I are foodies. So.
Yes. Which means we like to eat food, good food.
I need
We're
judges.
not picky about
good
judges.
Yes. We're going to need judges, so you guys are on the list. And actually,
I'm so excited.
They will also get other things. They will get free marketing. They will get free printing. They will get free business consulting. They'll get free accounting. And we estimate, and they'll also get free employees if they utilize employees in the neighborhood.
Free employees?
Yes. Actually, Equifax is funding this along with RISE.
Wow.
And so the total package we have estimated at about over $100,000.
Okay, everybody listening out there, if you are interested in restaurant or catering or food.
Oh, we'll have the links all over everything.
Exactly. You better be listening very closely because this is a unique opportunity for an organization not to just support your idea and your plan, but to supplement that support with funding and with people.
Unprecedented support in people. And you made a point, it's right in the neighborhood. One of the organizations that's in the neighborhood is Prosperity Connection.
Correct.
And what I was struck by when I went to the grand opening is it's literally right across the street. And it happened to be raining that day. And I know you can get from point A to point B, even without an umbrella, fairly easily, right? So, Michael...
I love the name, Prosperity Connection.
So, Michael, can you tell us a little bit about Prosperity Connection? And as I mentioned, it's an Excel center, and then it has this Red Dome Money Center as part of it. So help us understand this a little bit.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. Prosperity Connection is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit organization. And its goal is to strengthen our community through economic empowerment. We do that through financial education, free financial education, community services, and also options to banking that might not be available for many people in the low to moderate income community. And we do that a number of ways. First of all, we focus on the one-on-one coaching. We want to make sure that people have an idea, a sound basis of what their financial situation is and what resources might be available to help them get to where they want to go. We focus on credit. So we know that some people maybe have never established credit in the past, so they need help doing that. Or maybe they have a poor credit history and they need help rebuilding the credit. We integrate social services. So there may be people out there who maybe they have a mental health issue or a legal problem or housing or employment. We're not experts in all of those areas, but we have the partnerships where we can connect those folks to the resources that will help them get to where they want to go. And then finally, we integrate the financial services through, first and foremost, our Red Dome Money Center, which is a nonprofit alternative to payday lending and check cashing. And then also we can connect them to some of our partners in the banking world, banks and credit unions.
That's a very holistic approach to working with folks in the community. I think that's very impressive. How long have you guys been in the community as Prosperity Connection?
Well, as you said earlier, we were originally founded by St. Louis Community Credit Union. But we realized, because the credit union is a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, and so its purpose is to serve the underserved.
Yes.
And part of that is not only through low-cost financial services, but through financial education, because a lot of folks they don't have someone in their life that can show them
You're
the
not
right
born
way.
knowing this stuff.
Exactly.
We all had to learn it from somebody.
Right.
Exactly. And so we started with financial education at the credit union level, but realized the need was so great it wasn't something that we could do on our own. So the board of directors decided to form a foundation, which eventually became Prosperity Connection. It's a separate entity now, all on its own. And we have 5 coaches on staff that do the outreach services to the community. We have these 3 Excel centers. One is located in Old North, one is in Pagedale, and then one is in St. John. They're at the Rock Road and 170.
Do they all do the same thing?
For the most part. The one in Pagedale is probably the most robust. We have a huge classroom there where we do seminars, group seminars. Then we also do the one-on-one coaching. That is our largest facility. The one in Old North and in St. John are a little bit smaller, but they're great meeting places. In addition to financial education, we also have life skills training, professional development training, and so forth. But it's a great way for the community to kind of come together and help support the idea of creating economic empowerment.
Fantastic. So what does that look like, Lynette? If I'm coming to you and working with the folks at the Old North Business Center, how might I need to or want to go over to the Excel Center? How might somebody at the Excel Center find their way over to you?
Certainly. We actually work together. We've always worked together. I would come to the location in Pagedale and do some counseling and training. So this was a natural fit. One of the things I see is a small business is only as strong as its infrastructure. And if they don't have a solid banking relationship, if they don't have a solid relationship with money, it causes lots of issues for them. So I often like them to go and just talk to a financial counselor, even if they aren't currently having financial challenges. But what I find is they're entering a new stage of their life. They're going from I'm getting a check every week to now I'm responsible for, and it's a lot of things that aren't considered when we're going through the process. So I always suggest that they go over and I, tell them all the great things. I also do some training with them. So we do co-training, which means they will tell me what their clients need and what they're looking for on the financial end as it relates to entrepreneurship. And I'll teach those classes for them. And on the other end, when clients come in that they meet with and they have entrepreneurial aspirations and desires, and they're looking, to figure out, can this support their lifestyle? Is this a good business idea for them? What's the next steps? They send them our way. So we do a lot of cross-pollination with each other.
Sounds like it.
Yes. And it gets, I think I love this concept because, sometimes we say, I want to open up this new venture, but there's no coaching before you open the venture. A lot of times it's at the time or while the venture is failing.
Right.
So this, I think, heads off or at least provides an opportunity for the challenges to be met up front and to work through those challenges.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly the case. And I always say, it's better to fall up than fall down. And, and so I'm constantly saying you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and you're only as good as what you're willing to put into it. And as a result of that, what we're doing, and it came from Ferguson, actually. When Ferguson happened, I was tasked with going out and finding mentors for the community. Well, it was a very tough time. We know that. And tensions were high. Racial tensions were high. So a lot of the businesses honestly did not want to be mentored by people that were not African American. Really, real talk.
Hey, these things are real.
However, there was a shortage of African-American mentors. So, I really struggle with that. I had a big pool of mentors I could send out, but I really didn't have a pool of African-American mentors. So we created the Look Like Me Mentor Project.
Oh, I love that.
And we are currently in partnership now with several organizations where the Black MBAs were looking to partner with the other National Sales Network, which is a group of African-American sales associates, Black data processors, all of these people that bring skills and can mentor. So we're looking to create a Think Like Me. And we kicked it off a couple of weeks ago in Old North, where we bought in, we met with, we had 15 potential volunteers. We signed up 5.
Great.
So we have started with 5 mentors.
You got to start somewhere.
Our goal is 75. So we have by next year.
Okay.
And we're really, really excited about what that project. And we're not saying everybody can't mentor, but if you're going to surround yourselves with somebody that
has the skills and knowledge,
and knowledge, but can also connect with you culturally. Sometimes that's very, very, very important.
Yes, we've been working a lot on that. I work very closely with Cheryl, as our listeners know, on the programming piece. So we're working together to raise awareness. We're working together to get folks engaged. And then, what are the brass tacks programs? And one of our commitments moving forward is making sure that we have subject matter experts and mentors who look like the folks we're recruiting, whether that's women or underrepresented minorities.
Exactly.
So we need to do some cross-pollination as well.
That would be great. I would love to. And we're also making sure that we decide that we don't just let the mentorship happen. We're actually going to... You have a reporting system so we can keep track of how the mentor relationships are going and if they're working. So everybody has to turn in each month. They're required to meet monthly. You have to turn in what you did, what you talked about, and how it worked.
So it's intentional. It's being measured, and there are metrics in place.
Which means that the entrepreneur knows that they can trust the process, but so does the mentor.
Yes.
Because that's always something that is of importance. And I want to continue this conversation, so we're going to just take a brief break, and then we're going to come right back.
Meet the ambassadors.
It really is about shifting the perspective of how we see our fellow humans in relationship and interactions, even just to the way that somebody might cut me off on the highway. Like my perspective of, I don't know what's going on for them right now is taken to a different level, right? It's like you never know what's going on behind the scenes for an individual.
If you're interested in being a part of Alive and Well STL and helping continue the conversation, please take 5. Log on to aliveandwellstl.com.
Michael O'Brien, Prosperity Connection Advocacy Officer. Entrepreneurial thinking means following your dream, doing whatever it takes to live it through.
So, Lynette, I know the Look Like Me Mentor Project is just getting off the ground.
Yes.
But I also know that you have entrepreneurs coming through your doors every single day. Mm-hmm. So could you tell us a little bit about some of those entrepreneurs, what they're working on, what you're seeing, what you're hearing?
Sure. We do several different programs. Again, we're generalists. I always say I'm dangerous enough to know a little bit about everything. Me too. But I'm certainly smart enough to know the resources to refer on to.
I think that's a trait of a lot of women.
It is,
It serves
Sorry,
us well.
Mike.
Mike also knows that he knows when he needs to refer out to.
Yes.
He does. He does.
Right.
I heard him say that earlier.
He did. He said that.
And it's almost like driving the car. Okay. If we want the directions, you guys, oh, no, I know where I'm going.
Exactly.
She's not gonna give you an edge here.
But I also used to have my own small business, and I realized that, sometimes you get involved in that business because you're an expert in a certain thing. Mm-hmm. But it's better to be working at your business than working in your business.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not going to grow and prosper.
That is a hugely important point because we're always struggling to get entrepreneurs to do that. Just last night at one of our Square One meetings, I had at least 3 entrepreneurs ask me, so should I be doing this or should I be doing this? And I said,
have a clue.
Both those things are important. And if you don't carve out time to work on your business because you're so absorbed with working in it, I can tell you might feel like you're getting ahead, but you're probably not.
Right.
I always say you're the best practitioner and the worst business owner.
Right.
You
That's
are.
good.
And the reality is you won't live. If you can be great at what you do, but if you don't understand how to maintain it and sustain it,
yes.
Why are you putting all the effort in? So, I challenge them, and you have to challenge. I tell them, if you come to me, get prepared to be challenged. I was thinking, you asked a little bit about Old North earlier.
Yes.
And what really, really came to mind, we work on lots of different programs. The one is we do training for dislocated workers and underemployed. Oh. So that is through SLATE, St. Louis Area for Training and Employment. And all of those classes are free of charge if you are a dislocated worker or you're underemployed. And what we do is we do 2 sessions, starting a business, just very basic, and we bring in attorneys to talk about the legalities. And then the second day, we do the basics of writing a business plan. Plan to fail. If you fail to plan to fail. And then after that, we do a very extensive 5-day Kauffman Foundation Fast Track.
Great program.
Oh, it's an amazing program. We bring in guest speakers, and from that program, we had a graduate, and she graduated from the program, and she was doing intimate wear, lingerie,
yes.
But it was really for fitting. It wasn't necessarily, it's beautiful, but it was really, she fit women, and it was for full figured women, and it was, there was a need. Well, just recently I was at Old North, and I walked down the street, and I saw her salon had actually been realized.
Really?
Wow.
It is right at the corner of 2700 14th Street, and it's an amazing place. It's called Le Fit, and it just brought tears to my eyes to see that she had actually took the dream. She was doing parties and shows, and she bought it to the storefront, and full circle because she bought it to the storefront in Old North.
Wow. And this is one of your clients.
One of my clients.
That is so, oh my God, that's amazing. And I know it made you very happy.
Oh, it did. Proud.
Yes.
Almost every time a business is born, I feel like it's mine too.
Oh, I know.
I take total ownership. That's my business over there.
Right.
You have an awful lot of businesses, Lynette. Not really.
She gets around.
She does.
So, Michael, what about the Prosperity Connections and some of the examples of some of the folks that you're working with, and maybe some of the challenges and obstacles that they're facing?
Well, I think, first of all, there's a lot of folks out there that are struggling financially, as I said earlier, and they tend to get themselves then in a situation where they get involved with predatory lenders. So we've tried to focus on that too, because education will only do so much. In the meantime, they need an alternative to the expensive banking options that they have out there. So that's where the Red Dome Money Center that we talked about earlier came about. We wanted it to be an alternative, but as a nonprofit, we know that our intentions are pure. We want to be completely transparent, and we want to help folks get out from under.
I was going to say, so you don't have the usury interest rates that a lot of these other
lenders.
Yes, lenders offer.
Yes, alternative financial services.
Yeah, because they're not lenders.
Well, thank you. I stand corrected.
Yeah, so
it's called legal loan sharking.
No, well,
yes, it is.
We say that they strip wealth right out of the household, right out of the community.
Yeah,
they do.
And so we know folks are using those services. Let's try to kind of get them to a point where they're not relying on that. That's where the services at the Excel Center come into play. But in the meantime, they didn't get into these situations overnight. They're not going to get out of them overnight.
Totally.
So what can we do to help them in the interim? And that's where Red Dome came about. So we have an installment loan, $500 installment loan that folks can take advantage of. It's not a traditional payday loan, which is good.
Right.
Because instead of having 2 weeks to pay the money back, we give them 4 to 6 months to pay it back.
Oh, okay.
Really important.
Right, and we don't do credit checks, but we do a little bit of underwriting, just enough to ensure that they have the ability to repay us, because we don't want to make their situation worse.
Right. No, most definitely.
Right. So that's kind of the idea behind it, and we've only been open with the Red Dome Center in Pagedale since the beginning of March, and we've already done 412 loans for almost $180,000 during that time. And we've had people use that money for a variety of things. Auto repairs. We had a lady come in one day who her car broke down. She had no way to get to work, and the amount she needed to get for the repair was something like $480. We were able to make that loan to her.
And I think it's so important when we talk about financial freedom. If your car breaks down, we were just talking about this earlier.
Yes.
But if you don't have a credit card, if you don't have access to funding, that's your lifeline. That's your lifeline to your job, potentially, for your children to get around, wherever they need to go. That can be extremely impactful for that family. So getting that $500 to get the auto repairs, you've now set that family up forward instead of backwards. That's very impactful.
It also frees up your mind space, right? When you're not worrying about having to pay back that loan at an exorbitant interest rate in 2 weeks, you still then can stop and breathe and look at your opportunities. I would think just being able to assess your opportunities, I got a lot of head nodding going on from Lynette, is that, if you're buried under, there's no way you're going to see new opportunities.
It is not. You can't, it's hard to just make it from day to day when you can't see how I'm going to get to work, or how I'm going to start my next venture, or how I'm going to, it's about survival.
I was going to say, it's like drowning.
It is. It's like
anyone
treading water.
Drowning is not looking at, where's my next meal coming from? They're trying to survive at this point,
Which means they make poor choices because they're trying to survive.
But
that's a good point.
Yeah,
though.
that's what I was going to say with Michael.
We say life happens, and so a lot of these folks, it's not because they were irresponsible.
Right.
It's not because they did something wrong. It's something happened that was out of their control. Maybe it was a health problem. Maybe they lost their job. Maybe it's a legal issue. Whatever it might be. We had another woman recently. Unfortunately, her husband left her, and she's like, "How am I going to
figure this out?"
Right, fill that gap, in the short term, and we were able to help her. There's an example there. So it really, each person's story is unique, and that's why at the Excel Center with the one-on-one coaching, it's so powerful, because they can sit down and do a needs assessment, determine, okay, what's going on in your world, what can we, change or fix immediately, but also put a plan together, and there has to be accountability there too.
And I hear that from both of you. I mean, that really being able to work that plan, it's something we also coach the folks we work with, Cheryl and I, that, like you said, things happen, but opportunities do present themselves. And the only way you can work the most out of that opportunity is by taking one step at a time, working your plan.
And being educated about the situation. That's what I love with the offering. You're offering them financial resource, but you're also offering them an opportunity to understand how that impacts.
Well, like Lynette said earlier, she wants them to be talking to folks about their finances before there's a problem.
Exactly.
And to see that as part of the infrastructure of their company, even if that's not somebody who's on their payroll. And I think that mindset, I can get behind that mindset all day long.
Right.
And it's really important that they have that. They also have to not only understand what they're learning on that side, they have to understand what the numbers tell them.
Yes.
So, we make sure that,
even if it's an ugly story.
And most, when you're starting, it's usually an ugly story.
It usually is.
But we want you to be prepared for what that ugly story looks like. And it tells you with your budget that you've created on that side, can I afford to do this right now?
Right.
Maybe I can afford to do this right now.
Or can I think differently? Maybe I work while I'm doing this.
Exactly. And you know what? I challenge people all the time. Can you do both? I mean, there's opportunities. But one of the things I really like about Prosperity Connection and working with their staff is they're also, because they're a CDFI within the credit union, that's their foundation, it allows us to be creative. So we're out there right now looking for to try to bring some grant dollars. And we don't want to manage money,
right.
But we know how to underwrite. We know how to do, to get the right people in the room to create this small loan fund. And, people give us all the time, we want you to get it out the door. We want you to get $5,000 out the door, $10,000. Well, that's fine, but we need a way in which to do it and a way in which to collect the money back. So that's something that we're talking about right now, creating kind of right now there's a gap in that. There's the VCs that do the big money. There's the banks that do the expansion businesses. There are the startups that are innovative, that are going to find
We got capital. The angels who have a very narrow view of the world.
But for us that are starting what I call, there's such thing as entrepreneurism, and there's another thing as startups. They're two separate things. Entrepreneurism is that great, innovative. But, the startup is going to create a job for me and maybe two other people. But you know what? I'm adding positively to the community. Well, that's what's missing. Just, sometimes their credit score isn't as high as it should be, but they have some other things that they bring to the table.
Well, we always talk about that. You've got the scalable high tech businesses, which have their own right in our ecosystem, but it's the mainstream
that create
the Main Street businesses that create the economies and the jobs. Absolutely. I mean, the high tech businesses, they're going to create jobs eventually.
And wealth in a different way.
Yes.
And we really want to make sure that we're thinking about how we build wealth.
But how do we support
our entire community?
Exactly.
We have to support our infrastructure in which we're built upon. And right now there's it's not a lot of opportunities. So
we talk about that a lot.
So we're trying to create some opportunities where they don't exist. And, as we come up with these opportunities, it doesn't work if we don't have a partner.
Well, I think it's smart to have a financial partner just for what you're talking about, because they can create vehicles that you don't want to create or have to manage. That's really a smart collaboration.
So, Michael, it sounds like we've talked about the Red Dough, which is that alternative to payday loans, but there's also other banking tools that we as entrepreneurs can access at the Excel centers. Is that correct?
Well, again, we can make connections to some of our partners, banks, credit unions, whether it be, FHA home loans, whether it be small business loans. It really depends on the individual need as well. But we can point folks in the right direction. We can make that connection and a direct handoff as opposed to, maybe you can try, this.
It's that handoff that's so important.
And being able to sit down and strategize with an individual. Because a lot of times we don't know all the vehicles
we don't.
That for financing our business or supporting our business. So having someone in partnership with you and walking through and saying, well, here's a grant opportunity that you could go after, or here's another financial opportunity that you can go after. A lot of times our knowledge is so limited, we don't know. We just think we have to mortgage our house.
Right. So I'm thinking about whoever wins this fantasy food fair business competition. They're going to need to buy a stove. We know that.
Yes.
They have to buy a
all
stove.
the wonderful things that come with it. The one thing it doesn't have is a stove,
Does
so
not
they
have
might
a
need a
stove.
little bit of lending to be able to do that.
Exactly.
You also have a competition called Innovate Her Business Challenge.
Yes, we're preparing for that. We actually offer 3 competitions. We do Innovate Her, and Innovate Her is sponsored by the Small Business Administration, and it is a competition that is not only women can enter it, anybody can enter it. The product or service that you are writing your plan or that you're introducing must provide some benefit to women and families. So
love it.
that is. And last year we had some really creative innovations entered. We had somebody that entered an innovation, Babyation, where it's which is a great.
They're growing well.
Yes, they're growing. They're doing really well.
Yes.
But we got them when she was just finishing up with the prototype. So how exciting is a business
Yes.
It's really exciting.
I'm well past those years, but it would have been great to be able to pump and nobody could hear it.
I know.
It's so we got Life Pack, who does biodegradable packaging. So we had really
Those are really
innovative.
interesting.
We had really innovative ideas.
Well, what's interesting is when you mention these 2 companies, I was just judging a competition for Accelerate St. Louis, where these 2 individuals now have traversed through your doors and now are presenting there.
They're moving through the pipeline.
So it's moving through the pipeline, and the resources that they're getting help with and building their businesses is just phenomenal. That's why St. Louis has been recognized as a top startup city in our country.
Our ecosystem
this is the reason.
Is amazing. And the ecosystem being so large and so lucrative has allowed us even to have our 3rd competition, which is called the Startup Cup. And the Startup Cup is actually a global competition. Our winner from St. Louis will actually go compete in Washington, D.C. globally.
Very cool.
And really what we're looking for is that social venture. We're looking for how can you with all this going on right now, all the division, we're looking at what can you do that can make your community, your state, what can you do to make this better?
Yeah.
And, how can you solve a social challenge, but how can you make money when you do it?
Oh, I'm so excited. I came up through social entrepreneurship, so I'm just...
And we need that.
It's hugely important.
We really need that.
Using market forces to change the world.
Need. Exactly.
Yes. So we're really excited about that. We're going to launch that at the beginning of next year.
Wow,
so.
You guys have got some really cool projects.
We do. We're having a great time.
Michael, you've got some... I love this collaboration, and I was going to say Cindy, Christy.
She doesn't even know who I am anymore. She's so excited.
I'm so excited. Christy and I, we're always looking at how can we get engaged in the neighborhood. That's why we're looking to really spread the word about the resources
and educate
here.
ourselves. Frankly,
Yes.
I learn something new every time folks sit down with us. So we really appreciate you taking that time. As we come to the end of our time together, we always like to leave our listeners with your thoughts on how they can pursue their dreams and perhaps become entrepreneurs, but at the very least open up their thinking to what the world offers them. So I'm going to actually start with Michael. Michael, you've been an entrepreneur. You've now been working in this space where you're making sure that our community has so many resources at its disposal so that people can thrive. What advice would you give to our listeners?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's knowing your market, knowing that there's a need. Because if there's a need, then it's just a matter of putting the plan together, finding the resources to get it done. Even Red Doe Money Center was a startup.
Yep.
And we saw that there was a need in the community, and we hope to expand over time. If you've done your homework, then you'll be on the right track.
And I forgot to ask, why Red Doe? Why did you all pick that name?
We just wanted something memorable.
Well,
you'll remember.
Easily kind of rolls off your tongue. But I think more than anything, it's like we're going to give you the money to keep you out of the red.
Yep.
How's that?
Love it.
I like that.
Very cool. Lynette, your words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom is I challenge everybody to think entrepreneurial, first of all. So many people, their parents never did it. They never saw family members do it. I always call it from hustle to, from hobby to hustle, because sometimes, we're already making money on the side. And I said, well, how can you turn that into a lucrative business?
Exactly.
I challenge people often in my underserved communities to do that. So one of my things is really just go for it. If you have an idea, you don't have to quit your job job. It's ways, you can do the research on the side. If it's really worth having, go for it. Let the fear go and just do it. Always surround yourselves with people that are smarter than you.
Fantastic.
Yes.
You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Mm-hmm. You do have to understand your market, but you do have to plan. I start people with the lean canvas model. Really
love it.
We love that.
Just look at, do you have a viable product?
Right.
Is anybody going to buy it?
Anybody.
Is that always our mantra?
Are you brave enough to sell it?
Right.
Is another thing.
Oh, I like that one.
Brave enough to sell it. So, we start there and really just surrounding them with people that can support and help them. And for those that are listening to us today and you're not quite ready to pull the trigger, we need mentors.
Yes.
What better way to dip your toes into seeing what entrepreneurship looks like and feels like than mentoring somebody?
Absolutely.
So,
a way to give back.
A wonderful way to give back. And it's so much we need to do in our communities. And this is an amazing way.
Too much is given, much is required.
That's correct.
My friend, yes. So on that note, Lynette, where can people find you? Email?
Yes, people can find me a couple of ways. They can find me at Watson, L-Y, and that's WATSONLY, at Missouri, all spelled out, .edu. You can also call me at 314-662-0341, and you can visit our very extensive website at www.missouribusiness.net.
I love that site. I send people all the time.
It's a great site.
And likewise, Michael, where can people find Excel Centers, Red Dough, more information?
Well, the best way is to go to our website, www.prosperityconnection.org. There's also a website for the Red Dough Money Center. It's www.reddough.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for joining us.
This has
been our pleasure.
Really
I had a great time.
Oh, it's fun all the time. So
cool.
Thank you guys.
Which means we'll have to have them back because I think we're going to have at least a few. There's going to be some business competitions. We're going to have some winners.
Absolutely.
We're going to have some new loans made so that people can get going. It's going to be amazing follow-up.
Anytime. I'm ready to come.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Changing the way you view new ventures, igniting your thinking about entrepreneurship. It's entrepreneurially thinking. Get connected and discover more. Visit our website for show notes, resources, information about our guests, upcoming events, and of course, all your favorite episodes. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them for us in the comment sections, and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. The best way to show love is to share. Let everybody know that you're thinking entrepreneurially. So visit our website, entrepreneuriallythinking.com. #ETHINKSTL. Entrepreneurially Thinking is another positive production of Rare Gem Productions. Thanks for listening.